For me, after going through 4 years of abuse, I had to give myself a little bit more grace. I had to understand that I can't heal from this in 2 days, 3 days, and be ready to move on and help a lot more women. I have to now understand and be more self-aware. And I realized that if we don't want to get better because we want to save everybody else, it's only a Band-Aid.
Welcome to the Heart of Advocacy, where we shine a spotlight on remarkable individuals committed to building a more equitable and just world. I'm Doni.
And I'm Ken. We're with The Advocates, a law firm serving the Pacific Northwest. Join us as we explore the inspiring journeys of these heroes who uplift marginalized voices, serve their communities, and break down barriers to create a brighter future for everyone.
What's up, Ken?
Not much.
How you doing?
Portland. I'm telling you, that market is so crazy.
I feel like just saying Portland and then like leaving a silence, people could fill in a trillion different ends of that sentence.
We have offices in Seattle, Spokane, and Portland, and Portland is just
an anomaly.
Different. I mean, they're different people. It feels like it's a very provincial town.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on a ride with our marketing down there. We were getting cases so well,
Mm-hmm.
and it was
Lots
so
of
fun.
Cases, yeah.
It was so hard and so stressful and now it's slowed down.
And now that it has slowed down because, Google is doing Google things and making you pay
Greedy.
more. And yeah, but, G for greedy. But also thank you, Google, for what you did help us acquire. But what I thought was interesting is, we never expected to get the quantity of cases that we got in Portland in those first couple of years. And now that it's kind of back to normal levels of leads,
right?
We're failing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, we're not, getting that absurd quantity of leads that we were getting before, so we must be failing. And I don't know if that's just justification to myself for like, it's fine, we're not,
No, I think there's something to remember there, that growth doesn't necessarily mean bigger or more. Mm-hmm. Growth can also mean we're doing better, which we're constantly trying to do. And there's a big value that comes in that.
It's so easy to forget that.
Yeah.
To just look at quantity as the metric for success. And we're constantly having to recalibrate
to avoid that
evaluation. Trap. Yes.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. And I mean, I'm glad that we've acknowledged that for a long time, but even we slip.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah. There's a guy on Twitter he dresses up like Darth Vader. He rides a unicycle wearing a kilt and playing flaming bagpipes.
Uh-huh.
That says Portland to me. So stay weird.
Stay weird, kids. All right. Well, this is a hard one to pivot, but Monika, talking to Monika was inspiring. I was humbled and impressed and felt all the feels just talking to her and hearing about her mission. So Monika runs a nonprofit called Powerful Beginnings, which provides strategic resources to assist in life restoration after a journey people experience through abuse.
This one really sat with me. Monika Thornton is someone who just inspires me.
Yes.
And I loved our talk with her, and I felt like, how do we do more? I mean, when she's talking about the trauma that these people go through that suffer domestic violence, domestic abuse, I want to find out how we can do more.
Yeah. What I love about her organization, Powerful Beginnings, is that it's kind of like a start to sustainable organization where it's more about providing transitional services so that these individuals can get back on a path that they own, and that leads them in the direction they want to go, and into a better future for themselves. It's not just kind of a band-aid.
It's also inspiring to see her lift these people up to the gala where they get all dressed up and show off and have something they can be proud of.
I can't wait to go to the gala.
It's gala.
I don't know if it's gala or gala or gala. Can someone please let us know?
That would be interesting.
You report back. I say it differently every time. But yeah, I'm super excited for that. She's putting that on in Seattle this year, and I believe in the fall this year. We will definitely be there. That's going to be exciting to see. Monika, hi.
Hello.
So glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. If you could go back 20 years, what would your past self think of the work you're doing today?
My past self 20 years ago would not even believe that I'm doing the work that I'm doing. Funny story. I wanted to be a surgeon.
Love that.
Well, I mean, really.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? And then years ago, they used to do live surgeries on TV. And then I watched it and I got queasy. I knew that wasn't for me anymore.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. So I did not want to be a surgeon anymore.
Young Monika was dreaming of surgery until adolescent Monika saw it.
Yeah. It was not for me. And I think we all go through that in life. We always have what's the question that we get asked all the time? What do you want to be when you grow up? And sometimes we know that and sometimes we don't. But there's something that changes our trajectory along our life and our journey that helps us pivot either to where we're supposed to be going or helps us push us into what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah.
Were you as into fashion in your youth as much as you are today? And can I tell you, you look fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yes. The funny thing about that is I didn't grow up with a lot of money, but I grew up with knowing where to get things. And my mom I was in a household where we got dressed up on Easter, we got dressed up during Christmas, we got dressed up on all the holidays. So that was our time to kind of express ourselves. Yeah. And fashion growing up was all about really girly and feminine things like barrettes in your hair, bows, ribbons, pretty bright colors, Easter colors, which were like the pastels. So I grew up always looking ahead to what season and what we're going to wear in that particular season. So Christmas, I was like, I know I'm going to have red. I know I'm going to have a green dress for church or for, family gatherings. For Easter was always the fun, frilly things to get ready for the fun things that we're going to do with the family. So fashion was very much a part of my youth, but it also was a way for me to say, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Growing up and as an adult now, fashion is a self-expressive. I love colors. Bright colors helped our energy. They're fun. They brighten people's day. And fashion allows me to self-express. I love shapes and colors. Like my outfit now, I'm color blocking. But at the same time, it's something I can wear in the office. So it allows me to bring myself a little bit of fun to the office, to work, and to what I do every day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I remember when I was younger, my dad is the fashionable one. My mom is definitely not. And my mom controlled the budget.
Yep. Yes.
So I started thrifting at a really young age, and I'd find the spots in LA where it would be you would weigh the clothes by pound, and it was $1 per pound. And I brought home some trash, but I made that trash, into something cool.
Yeah,
so,
it's the value that you put in. It's when we think about large brand names, honestly, yes, they're made with great quality, but we give them the value. Mm-hmm. We say this is worth $1,000, or this is worth $10,000, or this is worth $5,000, or we're gonna thrift it and now it's worth $3,000, but it was worth $10,000. So we give it the value that it has.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's so subjective too.
Most definitely. Yeah.
All right. So we're still talking about back in the past.
Yeah.
Who were the key figures in your life that shaped who you became?
I grew up with my mom, my grandmother. My grandmother worked at the hospital. My mom worked in the medical field as well, and they were women who did nothing but make sure the family was taken care of. I think I never saw them struggle, but I know, there was struggles because we were not the richest. But I never saw them struggle. Like, we had gifts. When we wanted to do sports, they were like, if we have it, you can do it. We did still go on small trips. We traveled. So I didn't see them struggle. And I think for me, that showed that women can do anything. Women can take what they have, make it into something amazing, and do what they need to do, regardless of what they're going through. And my mom and grandmother did that. And I was raised by some amazing women who taught me to be respectful. I'm from the South, so it's yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. But also just be respectful. Be respectful and demand the respect that you want to give to others.
Absolutely.
And I think that allowed me to be confident in who I am and assertive when I feel like someone's trying to, take advantage or walk over me, but also don't allow others to put their value on you.
So you said if you're not looking for it, you won't see it. What does that mean?
You have to be looking for what you want. You have to be looking for what you deserve. Because if you don't know what it looks like, if you don't have a visual, because I'm a visual person, if someone says, hey, I want to see what this look looks like on you, I'm like, I need to see it on you. You can't just hold it up. You can't just lay it out. I need to see it on you. So if you're not looking for it, you won't know. And that means whatever in life that we want, we have to be looking for. We have to be gearing towards it, going down that trail, going down that lane so that we can find what we need in ourselves and also in others, in our partners, and our business partners, and our friends. We have to know what we're looking for in life because we can't be out here wallowing. It's too many things to get our attention. Everybody got a little bit of ADD. So we have to be able to know what we're looking for so we can stay on topic, so we can stay disciplined, committed, and consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that theme. I mean, I'm always looking forward.
Yeah.
So tell me more.
We're powerful in so many words. Our words, how we speak to people, the affirmations we say to someone can change someone's day. That's powerful. And the things that we want out of life can inspire others. I don't know if everyone tells you, but the things that you do inspire people. And they may tell you down the road, and they may tell you once they've reached a certain level in life, but you're inspiring people daily. And for us, we don't know what that looks like until we've made a consistent focus on what we need to see. And for me, I believe that growing into who I'm supposed to be, when you're growing into continuously growing, because I think we never should stop growing. It becomes a thing for us to say, hey, what do we want? And if we do want something, allow us to live in that, walk in that, and continue our journey in that so that other people can see it. And that just allows us to look forward. I got asked the question about how do I continue to tell my story of abuse versus now when I'm helping people. And I had to answer that question now I don't like telling my story, because it's seen now as a crutch, or I can no longer use it as a way to get sympathy. Now I utilize it as a way to show that an experience makes me an expert in an area that some people would say that I'm not qualified to be in. So I'm always looking forward, because utilizing my past is now a crutch.
So it's February this month when we're recording. I don't know when this is going to air, which is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month.
Yes.
What are we getting wrong about this topic as a society?
I love to talk about this. And thank you for asking that, because this months get overshadowed by Valentine's Day, by Black History Month, and I looked online just to see if it's really out there, but it doesn't even get the attention it needs. And I think a lot of the time when we think about domestic violence, we think about women. We don't think about teenagers, because they're supposed to just be having fun, living life, doing sports at school. But teenagers get in unhealthy and toxic relationships. 1 in 3 teenagers will deal with sexual assault, will deal with domestic violence, will deal with abuse in some form of their relationship, and are also losing their lives at the hand of significant others because they're not equipped with the tools, the resources, with the education to understand how to navigate healthy dating or navigate emotions that they have not had to utilize before. Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month is actually a way for advocates to advocate to the community about how to talk to parents, make parents aware, open up communication and those tough conversations between teenagers and their parents to help them navigate relationships going forward. We do it during February because it also is connected to love. Usually there's a day dedicated to what is called What is Love Day on a national level. And that helps bring awareness to what does healthy dating looks like? What are the signs as a teenager you should be looking for in your own relationships, in your friendships? We're in a digital space now and what is called digital abuse. What does that look like for teenagers to be on social media? Their parents don't know what they're doing on social media 24/7, and they are now being bullied. They're now in a relationship where they cannot look or like other people's photos because their significant other doesn't want them to do that. So we take this month to highlight all the educational perspective, the signs, the work that's being done to educate communities and schools, and also educate teachers. Teachers need to know how to help their students when they're away from their parents, how to help them navigate those hard emotions from a breakup without feeling like they now have to go and hurt themselves or hurt their partner. And that helps understand to be more aware of self-aware of your emotions and be more self-aware of the things that they're going through on a day-to-day basis in school. Yeah.
So it's not just awareness for the teenagers, but also for the adults that are the support system
Yeah.
for these kids.
Yeah, because it looks different for parents. As parents, we first don't want to think that our child may be going through a toxic or abusive relationship. I know I have an 18-year-old. I don't know, even as an advocate for domestic violence, even as someone who owns a organization dedicated to helping, what I would feel as a mother if my child was going through abuse. Like, I don't know if I'd be ready to just run, take off, call the police, whatever. But I know that I'm equipping her with the tools mentally to be aware of, and also to help her be aware of her emotions. Hey, Mom, I'm feeling really sad about this. My boyfriend did something that I wasn't happy about, but I don't know how to say it. Okay, let's navigate that conversation. How does it make you feel? So first we put it back on her. We help her understand how she's feeling first so that she doesn't project her emotions on her partner. Now let's ask questions. Do you think he or she will be defensive? Do you think he or she will be mad? How we navigate that conversation. Let's talk about it. Let's role play a little bit. And that's a conversation that we don't necessarily have. I didn't know I didn't have it growing up. It was don't do this and don't do that.
Don't date.
Don't date. Correct.
Yeah, that's the advice I give my girls.
Yeah.
All of them. And I have grandkids. And
Yeah, which is interesting. If you had to give advice to parents on how to start the conversation with their kids,
Yeah.
just so the kids know this is a safe place where you can talk to me about what you're going through, how would you tell them to do that?
First, you continuously start the conversation. You ask questions about how they're feeling daily. This doesn't stop when they start a relationship or when the relationship ends. Hey, how's it going? Ask about their partner. Ask about them. Hey, how do you feel about, how the relationship is going now? Do you feel safe in the relationship? Do you feel protected in the relationship? Do you feel like your emotions are being heard in the relationship? And, I don't want to, pry, but definitely want to know how you're doing because that allows me to help you. And also it helps me ease as a parent. So let them know too that I'm a parent and I'm growing and I'm learning.
Right.
And that makes me human and not just this big bad parent, but that I'm growing as a human being too. And that I want to make sure that before I dump on you or that I just throw all my emotions on you, I let you know that I'm still a human being at the end of the day. So that conversation continues daily. Maybe it's not always the same 3 questions. Maybe it's not always the same 2 questions, but it's just asking, checking in, letting them know that, hey, I want to know what's going on with you, that I do care and that I am concerned, but just want to make sure that we have an open line of communication and that communication line never ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
even more broadly than just teenagers, talk about how do you start the conversation?
Yeah.
How do you advise people to start the conversation? They're in a relationship that's not healthy, maybe abusive. How do they start the conversation with their partner? Or do you advise them not to even try?
I think that you letting someone know that you're concerned about them is powerful, and it allows them to break that wall, because there's a level of guilt and shame that comes with being in an abusive relationship. But to your question, let's start conversations by being in a place where it feels intimate, being in a place where it feels safe. Anytime we as people, we as humans, we relax and release and we are able to feel our most at our best to talk about things we're going to, is when we're in a safe space, correct? So that safe space could be a coffee shop. It could be someone else's home, not in the space in which they feel tense or they feel like they are, waiting for something to happen. They're in a space where they know they can just relax and release and give themselves an opportunity to feel like they can talk. So that means, hey, let's go on a walk for a day. I saw that you've been having a stressful week. I don't want to do anything but listen. Active listening opens doors.
Mm-hmm.
Active
Wow.
listening allows you to be non-judgmental, an open platform where you just kind of allow them to dump on you, and not dumping where they just, you're taking on everything, but you're just allowing them to release what they've been going through. And it's walking. Let's go have a cup of coffee. Let's just get out in the sun a little bit. And releasing those barriers, releasing that wall allows people to open up and give you what they have been holding in for so long.
Right.
So I think it's putting them in a safe space and giving them an opportunity to just listen without any judgment. And even after they talk, you might not can say anything. You can't say anything. You can just listen. And maybe the next conversation, hey, next week, let's talk again. I really enjoyed this. Next week comes, hey, last week you said this and it really bothered me. It really was concerning to me. I know that you're going through a lot, so I want to make sure that you know that I'm here to support you. Not here to judge you, but I'm here to support you. How can I support you? And that puts it right back in their court.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like there's always kind of been a taboo about talking about domestic violence.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's getting better. Is that still something, that is so pervasive?
Oh, I thank you for that, because this question is in 2024 still taboo. It's still a level of shame, and there's still a level of tabooness that we have to get over, because we live in a digital space. We live in a digital space where people can bully you online, and there's celebrities, there's people in the news, there's people that are going through the abuse, but because there's money involved that they can't talk, because there's status involved, they can't say what they're going through, and they kind of shame it all. And you're shamed as a victim, or victim shaming is becoming more prevalent, because how dare you mess up somebody's reputation when you should just suffer through it and get through it. So yes, talking about domestic violence is still very taboo, because so many people don't like to address the fact that it's still here. If we sweep it up under the rug, it goes away.
We don't have to think about it.
We don't have to think
Mm-hmm.
about it. But if we talk about it and we educate people and become more attentive to it, then we can do something to stop it. But we can't unless people talk about it. We can't unless we address the issues. We can't until we equipped everyone with the right and proper tools to understand what to look for. If we sweep it up under the rug, we don't know what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. It could be someone walking down the street, and as soon as they get somewhere, their partner holds their hand a little bit tighter and they jolt a little bit. A few years ago, there was a national program to put a black dot in the middle of your hand. And if you're with your aggressor, you hold that up and you let someone know and it started in Canada. If you let someone know that you're going through, or that you're in an abusive relationship, it kind of died down, because once aggressors look for it and they know what's going on.
Are there some do's or don'ts around when you're talking to a survivor one-on-one? Like, they went through it.
Yeah.
What are some do's and don'ts in that conversation?
What's become very important now is that we honestly, and it's still heard here or there, but not to say the word survivor.
Okay.
Now we say individuals who've experienced domestic violence, individuals who've experienced trauma, individuals who are going through, challenging situations, that what we try to utilize, because on a bigger scale, someone doesn't like to be categorized as a survivor anymore.
Yeah.
It's great to understand what their triggers are. And it's okay to ask, hey, is it okay if I say this? Is it okay if I ask you this? Because asking certain words and certain words might be a trigger. We want to make sure that we don't trigger them and it causes them to recluse back into their shell and now they're no longer able to express themselves because they feel like they're not in a safe space.
Yeah.
So asking for permission, asking for the opportunity to open the doors to certain conversations is very important.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that we're doing that with some tact and also the respect.
All right. Well, let me ask you,
Yeah,
do you mind if we ask about your experience with this?
no problem. I appreciate that. Thank you for asking.
So tell us how that changed things
Yeah.
and what perspectives that gives you.
Going through a 4-year relationship, I'll kind of go back to as a child, I never saw domestic violence growing up. So I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what mental abuse was. I didn't know I knew what physical abuse. We all know what that looks like. But the mental, the physical, and the emotional are all completely different. The physical goes away. The mental and the emotional all stays for a lot longer. So for me, my perspective was, hey, now that I'm out and I will consider myself a strong young lady. I always, once I'm done being mad or sad, I'm like, what's next? Let's get to the next. But for me, after going through 4 years of abuse, I had to give myself a little bit more grace. I had to understand that I can't heal from this in 2 days, 3 days and be ready to move on and help a lot more women. I have to sit sometimes in my feelings like, I don't feel good today because I feel like I'm not adequate enough. I don't feel like I'm good enough to do or help someone or tell somebody to get over their situation because I'm still dealing with mine mentally and emotionally. I've had triggers where certain things have triggered me to trauma responses, and those are huge. We either fight or flight. And usually I'm a flighter. I get out of there because I don't want to continue to deal with certain things. And that has manifested in work, that's manifested in family discussions, and it's not healthy. So for me, my perspective, is that I have to now understand and be more self-aware. So for me, the foundation is self-awareness so that I can understand if I'm being triggered or if I'm going through something where I need to say, hey, I'm going to delegate what I need to be done now because I don't have the capacity or the bandwidth or emotional bandwidth to deal with that. So I am aware of how I feel. I'm aware of what's triggering me, and I'm aware of how I need to pull in my support system to move to the next thing without feeling like I am a failure for not being able to do everything.
You mentioned trauma and you're talking about triggers. Does traditional trauma therapy help?
I'm glad you asked that. Yes and no. I went through therapy twice, and I'm still in therapy. I went through therapy the first time right after my journey with abuse because I wanted to heal right up so that I could start helping everybody and changing the world and showing everybody that I'm a strong woman and that, yes, there is life after abuse. But my therapist didn't give me what I needed. It was just, hey, let's just do these activities. Let's do this. And I was like, I don't need this. I need you to fix me. Like I need to be better so that I can go and help other people. And that was me being impatient. So I had to understand that I need someone as far as a therapist or support that's going to help me understand that I need to sit down and sit in what I need to sit in. So I took some time off from therapy and I kind of utilized my work as therapy. I use my organization as therapy. If I'm able to help other people, that's me healing. And for so long, I always gave the disclaimer, if you can tell your story, you're ready to heal. And I thought that one liner was my therapy. And I'm like, I can tell my story. I've told it on Facebook. I've told it on, on the news. I've told it in organizational meetings, blah, blah, blah. But when I would sit with myself and things would happen, I would still be shook into my core about what I went through. And it came out in anxiety. It came out in PTSD. It came out in me not knowing how to deal with very overwhelming situations. And when I did, I was like, and my wife was like, you now need to go back to therapy. And I was like, you're right. And it's going to help me be a better wife, a better mother, a better friend, and even a better founder. And I have to want that. And I realized that if we don't want to get better because we want to save everybody else, it's only a Band-Aid.
When did you realize that you needed to start your organization?
So I was trying to heal, and I went to an event that was for women. And it was just like a women empowerment event. Those were really, really booming back then in 2016. I was like, oh, I like this. I want to help other women. And I realized that I felt alone in what I was going through, and that I knew I wasn't alone, that there were other women that had went through it, but there was the shame. And I didn't want to tell other people that, hey, I feel like I'm ashamed because I shouldn't have went through it for so long. So a young lady had at the time it was like a radio show, and she said, hey, if you're interested in coming and tell your story on my radio show. I said, oh, sure, I'll come tell it. And after the show ended, my inbox on Facebook flooded with so many women who, I went through this. I thought I was alone. I didn't know you went through this. You don't look like what you went through. And I'm like, whoa, this is powerful. This is wild. This is
Yeah.
so much that I have never had to, like, I don't know these women. So like now, like, your inbox is kind of like on TV, like it's like filling up. And I had to say, whoa, what's next?
Yeah.
How can I make this impact greater? And I know I'm not the only one. So if I'm not the only one, there's someone that is going through what have went through, and they feel alone. So how do I help them not feel alone like I was feeling alone? So at that moment, after I told my story, after all the stories on Facebook, after, connecting with amazing women, I said, I want to do more. And that's when I decided went to my best friend, went to my sister and said, hey, I don't know what it looks like, but I want to help more women. I know there's more women out there to help, and the work is going to never end. And they were like, let's do it. And Powerful Beginnings became what it was.
Love the name.
Thank you.
How do you balance what you're doing with perhaps the shame that someone who's not ready to escape an abusive relationship yet?
That's the hard part. When we initially started the organization, it began as, hey, we're reactive. Like, we're going to get out here and get everybody and make sure they're good to go. Make sure women know that you don't have to be in this relationship. And then we got a few clients who said, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to be out of the relationship. And we would get them to a safe space. We would get them into a new place. We would get resources, and they would drop everything and go right back. They were not ready.
Now they must feel something even worse.
Correct. I had to dial it back. I had to say, what did I do? I didn't accept help. I didn't accept anything until what I was ready. So to preserve our resources, because we're smaller, let's help individuals who are ready and they're made the decision. And we had to kind of halt being super reactive and be proactive with building educational resources. Let's help understand what you're going through first. Because if you don't know that you're going through abuse, are you going to do anything about it? No. Let's educate, let's advocate, and help others understand that we know what's out there, but we also know that there's resources that'll help you get out of what you're in. And that becomes us understanding what resources are in the community. Let's not do this alone. Like a kid, when someone has a child, a family has a child, it takes a village, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a village to help someone get out of something they've been in for so long that they don't necessarily know that they're in. So let's help them by educating them. And that's a big part of organization. That's a big part of nonprofits, is doing the work, doing the research, doing the advocacy to educate the community and educate others about what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Your story about telling your story, and then, getting all this feedback of, oh, I went through something similar, that, it's like you were given permission almost by this radio host to tell your story.
Yeah.
And that pushed you to tell your story. And then your story gave those women or individuals permission to say, this happened to me too.
Yeah.
And it's not that we need permission, but sometimes it just feels easier when you know somebody else out there has gone through it too, and that they're they're doing okay.
Yeah. I think we all need an example.
Yeah.
To be something in life, we've had to see someone else do it before us, be successful at it. And then now we know that we're inspired to do it. That goes back to our inspiration. What do we see ahead of us that shows us that we can also be there or either exceed that? And for me, it was me seeing other women once I knew there were other women that have lived lives, been through certain things, and now they're doing amazing.
Yeah, that shared experience. I mean,
Yes.
when you're dealing with any kind of trauma, but particularly something like so emotional like this,
Mm-hmm.
someone who is going through that
Yeah.
has to feel alone. Like no one can understand.
Correct.
And yet you're showing them
Yeah.
that no, we can understand.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Businesses and employees.
Yeah.
We run a business. Unfortunately, we've experienced one of our employees going through domestic violence in the past. How can businesses in general be more prepared to handle these situations when their employees are possibly going through domestic violence? Bring that up to HR. What can employers do to support?
Employers, large corporations have to be educated just like the community. And it seems to really, really kind of like blah to say like, hey, just educate the corporation. No, you have to go through training. You have to educate your employees that are going to help navigate these situations. I've seen situations in corporations where partners have come and shot, killed, hurt their partner because they're trying to get away, and work is a safe space or felt like a safe space. But after that, they realize it's not. What's the protocol for that? How do you hide someone that's going through? How do you not create a space where they feel safe saying, hey, manager, hey, director, I don't feel safe at home. I don't know how to tell you, but if I go home, I'm not safe. What's the protocol for that? Without making them feel shame and guilt for having to say that, and also not being corporate enough to say that I'm going through something, and not being shamed after everything, the dust has settled. So corporations need to honestly activate a training program or develop some type of program that educates the company, educates employees, educates the leaders that can now say, speak out and make it not so taboo. If a top leader in the company says, hey, this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we're going to talk about how to, in the signs to look for in a newsletter, in a training, that speaks volume as to how they care, what's next for the company, the trajectory the company's going in, and how they can value their employees. Because these are real life situations.
Yeah.
If someone has to leave a job because they've been abused or they're going through a traumatic situation for 3 years and they come back I'm ready to come back. I'm smart. I'm brilliant. I'm better. I'm healed. I'm ready to go back to workforce. Hey, as soon as in the interview, first thing you say is, hey, I see it's a 3-year gap on your resume. Can you tell us why? I can't tell you that I was healing from abuse. I can't tell you that I was healing from, my husband treating me and my children or doing this, or my wife was treating me very bad and I had to go do this and that to get away and start fresh. And also because I was shamed at my job. I can't say that. So how do you explain that? Now, there are companies that are coming out with what are called returnship programs. And I'm loving this trend because returnship programs allow individuals who have been away from the workforce for years, 3-4 years, but still have relevant skills to come back into the workforce without any questions asked and not having to feel that shame to explain why they have been out of a job for a while. I own my own company. I was a director at a company for, 3 years ago. I just wanted to take advantage of being a mom. I shouldn't have to say, hey, I just want to take care of my kids for 3 years and spend quality bonding time with them. What can I say about that? There's no judgment in that. Companies adapting this understand that. They understand the scope of how being a human person, having human decency works. And also that, hey, people that have took some time off, don't have to continuously take the same trajectory in their career as everybody else. It is not one straight line. It can look like a squiggly line when it comes to your journey or your career path. So companies that are doing that, they get it. They get it.
When people are experiencing these kinds of relationships,
Yeah.
how do you help them see it for what it is instead of, oh, it's not that bad?
Well, we have to notice the signs. We have to see that someone is isolating themselves from friends and family. A big part of abuse, a big part of trauma is isolation. How do you get power and control? You isolate someone from the support system. You isolate them from the individuals that will say, hey, this is not right. This is not you. You're acting different. If you do that, then you'll have the control to navigate them how you want them to navigate. So when we downplay abuse, when we don't notice the signs such as isolation, such as they no longer have that joy, they are consistently late, they're consistently doing things that they don't normally do, they're dropping the ball in areas that they didn't, and without saying, hey, I see that things are changing. How's it going at home? How's it going at work? Can you tell me what's been going on? How can I support you? When we bring it up and we make notice of it and we highlight it and spotlight it, then we help make it better. If we don't highlight it, we just say, oh, this person they're not who they used to be. I don't know what's going on with them. I don't even want to ask no questions. It's not my business. We allow the problem to get worse.
So share some stories of people who have experienced this and that Powerful Beginnings has helped.
Sure. When we first started, we thought we were just going to be helping get resources, supplies, self-care products for individuals who were leaving. But we wanted to be a better organization that made impact not just in one small sector of our community, but everywhere. We built relationships with local shelters. And then we realized that shelters were just a way for individuals to get there and say, hey, I'd rather be at home. So how do we get to the next level with that? We connect with hotels and we connect with transitional resource homes. And transitional resource homes are a little bit more intimate. They are actually homes that are designated for individuals who are going through abuse or going through traumatic relationships that need to feel safe and feel as if they're in a home so they won't go back to that particular aggressor. So transitional homes allow you to have your own bathroom, your own room, your own space where you may have a shared kitchen, maybe 2 or 3 rooms in the house, but you have the opportunity to have a more intimate setting where I feel like I can go to work, come home, my space will be okay. I won't be interrupted. I can work and still do what I need to do. We wanted to get to that point where we were helping have a more intimate understanding so that we didn't keep having people go back to they felt safer in their abusive relationship. So some of our clients became our friends. Hey, I know who you are. I know that you have a job. You don't have to just go back to anywhere. You just need a few days to get into a space where you need to be. We also had individuals who say, hey, I don't have money for much. I don't know where to begin. So we tailored each scenario to what they need. If you need a job, let's start there. If you need a safety plan first to get out of there, let's start there. If you need financial literacy to understand how to save money in a safe space under a different name, let's start there so that then you can move forward because your situation is not as dire as our client here who needs to get out immediately. We have to get you in therapy to address these issues because now we have to undo what has been done mentally and emotionally so that you can now see that it's time to transition out of this relationship and you understand that going back to them will put you back in a situation that you were not supposed to be in. We've had someone have their entire house burned down by their partner because they did not want to be with them anymore. What does that look like? Now we have to get resources from the community to help them rebuild safely. Now we have to make sure they understand that we are a support system to help them now. They need therapy. They need a village. They need resources. They need the community. And what does that look like? So every situation is tailored a little differently based off the scenario. And we have to understand that every person is not ready. And if they are not ready, we can't force them. And that's hard. If we can't force them to say, hey, I hear what you're going through. I can't shake you out of it. I have to then say, when you're ready, let me know. And we have a plan ready for you, and we'll check up on you. But until you're ready to do this, we can't, because it's now becomes a safety protocol for our team. It now becomes a safety measure where we can't keep forcing or we're antagonizing the aggressor.
Yeah.
How often do you see people seeking help fall out of that plan? And is there a common theme for why you see most of them drop off?
We do see it a lot. We see them drop off because their partner, significant other, aggressor has changed for the better for a little while. And that is, who knows what that time frame is, it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks. They could say, hey, I told them what's going on, I'm tired, I'm about to leave. And now they're doing their dance that they're always doing to show me that they're getting better. How long does that take? We don't know. So we have to then say, hey, well, we still have a plan in place. Let's stick to the plan. And if they are adamant, once again, we can't do anything. We have to stick to the plan when it becomes safe, and then it goes from not being safe to unsafe for us. And we have to leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
We provide them with the resources. We provide them with the tools. If they're not using them, we have to wait until they're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open door for when they need to come back.
Exactly.
When they're ready to come back.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk about something we talked about the first time we met.
Okay.
Your gala. Tell us about that. Tell us about doing it in Atlanta, bringing it to Seattle.
Yes.
What it's like.
So it kind of goes back into the question you just asked. The gala is an opportunity for us to celebrate individuals in the community who have been through traumatic relationship, but on a bigger scale. So it's one part, but it also combines an opportunity for us to tell the community about the work that we do, and to make it and to amplify our mission, and to also make it a bigger opportunity for us to help more people. And we celebrate individuals with a night of telling their stories, telling the community stories about individuals who have went through traumatic relationships and went through individual, partnerships that have been very, very hurtful, or family members who have lost someone to domestic violence. And we have to celebrate them because they are still fighting the fight to bring awareness to what their significant other, what their family member, what their loved one went through. And for us, the gala is an opportunity and a fundraiser also for us to say, hey, the cycle of abuse hasn't stopped, and we won't stop doing the work until it has. And for us, it is started back in Atlanta, and we started it with an opportunity to speak to voices that were not heard or did not feel like they had a voice. And we would bring women, and we had 3 women each gala to celebrate. We bring in resources from stylists, makeup artists, hairstylists, and local boutiques with gowns that would donate their resources for free to celebrate 3 individuals. We will have speakers that will tell their story of survival, or telling their story of what they have done to impact the community through the work that they've done because they've went through something. Our speakers have to have been in an individual, their own situation before. That's the expert part of it. That's the story we need to hear. If we can't tell our story, others can't heal and see themselves healing as well. But we're ready to bring it to Seattle.
Woohoo!
Yes.
Nice.
We are building amazing opportunities with so many women and so many people in the community of Seattle. And Seattle has a story. Individuals have a story, and we have to bring those stories to the forefront.
Do you have a date yet?
We do, October the 26th.
October 26th.
Yes. I want to,
Folks,
I don't want to
October
lie.
26th. And how do people get involved? How do they support?
So we're going to start promoting it. We just got the proposal together. We want to start promoting and reaching out for sponsorships because our biggest thing, we want to include the community.
Mm-hmm.
We want to include the community so they understand our mission, so they understand what we're doing, and they understand how they can support. So we will be sending out the word, and we will be
Good.
posting on social and definitely connecting with a lot of organizations and media to bring attention to it. Yeah.
Amazing. Can't wait. Can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
I want to ask a quick question about individuals who maybe have previously, they've gotten out of a relationship already. And as they learn and educate themselves more about domestic violence, they start to realize that maybe that relationship they were in, they were experiencing some sort of abuse. How should those people kind of cope with that? Or is their healing journey different than someone that's maybe going through it currently?
Individuals who realize it after the fact, it's a little different because we are, as human beings, are able to kind of navigate our emotions either head on, or we can kind of put them to the back burner and just keep pressing forward. So that perspective changes when it's after the fact. So it's easier to say, hey, I did go through something. What's next? And that's where the trauma response comes, either fight or flight. Either you're going to sit there and you're going to say, hey, let me sit in my feelings a little bit and understand what I went through, or let me move forward. For me, when that happens, the easiest thing is to address the feelings, because now you understand and become self-aware of how you're responding to things, what's caused you to respond a certain way, because I know now I was going through something that I was really just trying to get out of. And understanding that means now you'll have to address the issues and emotions and situations with yourself, and possibly with a professional as well, that can help you understand how to navigate those emotions, because you're gonna feel them once you
They're gonna
realize them.
creep up.
Yeah, they're gonna creep up, and you're gonna have to understand where to move forward, either left or right, or move forward, so that you can understand how to get better, so that this won't impact your future.
Kind of going forward a little bit, in order to help remove this taboo and disable the stigma, what can the average person do?
I think for us is to talk, to have these conversations, to understand how we can help someone that we may thought, now I know that they were going through something. How do we educate ourselves and not utilize that education to now help others?
Yeah.
We're no longer average when we have the education. We're no longer average when we understand how we can take our resources that we have and help others. Now we are powerful because we can now help others and help them and pull them forward. And if we utilize the resources that we have, we're going to help someone who's then going to say, hey, now I got to pay it forward. That's just like somebody at the grocery store. I pay for your groceries, they now pay for somebody else's, and vice versa and vice versa. We're now pulling each other forward. And that educational piece is so critical to everything that we need to do to be advocates, right?
Yeah.
You see what I did there?
Yes,
You see what I did there?
We did. Well, the last two questions we always ask. So I'll do mine, which is always looking to the future.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can imagine what is the best outcome, how will you and your organization have changed what society is?
Wow. That's a great question. We would have educated people enough and provided enough understanding to help others understand their worth, to see before it even starts that they're in a toxic relationship, to know the signs before they even get into something, a friendship, to know the signs in their family, to know that what they're going through at their job is toxic. The educational piece for us is huge. We want to leave people with the understanding mentally that they see it before it happens, that they know what they're looking forward, that they know what they're worth, that they know that before they even move to the next step, that they're worth much more than they're giving themselves. And we've had some people say that, like, hey, I know now that what you've told me still resonates with me, that I know what to look for. I know what to tell my kids. I know what to tell my daughters. And that in itself is huge. So we want to make sure that they understand that what we teach them sticks, and that they know how to pass that along to someone else.
So our show is all about advocating for people like you making a difference in our community. Who do you think doesn't get enough credit for the work and change they fight for?
I would have to say nonprofit organizations. Yeah. Nonprofit organizations are, they call us grassroots. They call us, small but mighty. But there's so much that is given from a nonprofit founder, from a nonprofit volunteers, from the board of directors that doesn't get seen. I remember being on a call with a founder of a very large foster care nonprofit organization. They had all the money. They got really good. They was on CNN. I was like listening to their founder talk, and I was in tears, not thinking that I would ever be there, not thinking that I would ever get my organization off the ground enough to have the exposure. And it's tiring. It's very tiring. And I can't tell you that I haven't tried to give up. I haven't tried to say Powerful Beginnings was enough and we've done enough and maybe somebody else can take the torch. But nonprofit organizations give their all. I've given my own money. I've given my board of directors money, and we've given a lot. And I think that when people say that nonprofit organizations are small but mighty, they are powerful.
Wow.
Yeah, they are powerful. Like the work, the strength, the tears, the blood, the everything. They're asking for stuff. I would have to say begging sometimes for the exposure it speaks volumes, but the impact is there, and no nonprofit, I don't care how small or how big, ever goes unnoticed.
I did think of a bonus question.
Yeah.
How would people who are familiar with Monika see you, and what would they say?
I would think they would say I'm very fashionable. But I'm very headstrong. I don't take no for an answer. And one thing about me, I'm going to speak positive words into you, and I only expect you to say the same to yourself. One thing I tell my friends is you can't speak negatively around me. You can't say negative words about yourself around me. I'm going to help you switch those around immediately. And because words are powerful. So if somebody knows me, they know that you're going to get nothing but light, nothing but fun. And also, I'm always say, life's too short. Let's do this.
We hope you enjoyed today's stories and join us again at The Heart of Advocacy.
This episode was edited by Kendall Perkinson and mastered by Guido Bertolini. Produced by Deanna Fong and Taylor DeLine. Storyboard and podcast development by Luke Russell.
Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at We Are Advocates. As we wrap up, we'd like to express our heartfelt thanks to you, our listeners, for your continued support and engagement. I'm Doni.
And I'm Ken.
Together, we are all working to make a world more equitable and just. You've been listening to The Heart of Advocacy.
See you next time.